tired.
300 minutes. I was joking with Aaron, and I'm going to throw the joke out at you just to see what you say. LeVette, these council meetings have been the longest in the history of council meetings since your election. Do you hold yourself personally responsible? Holy cow, 300 minutes of council meeting. What happened?
Well, we had several people that wanted to speak on the public, on the record about the NPC case, and we had a lot of guests on the front end. We had a presentation about the budget. So there was a lot of front loading on a meeting that was already going to be long.
You had joked before about I'm taking snacks, not only for myself, but for everyone else on the council.
I hope you brought dinner.
Yeah, did you take like a whole buffet?
Do you know I did not bring any snacks, but someone got pizza, but I didn't want pizza.
Wait,
so I waited till I got home.
Pardon me. There was a council person during the meeting that had pizza delivered. Is that what you're telling me here?
No, I think that someone had pizza delivered for the entire group of us. I don't know if it was the administration or their council, but there was a bunch of pizza back there. Yeah. I had to leave for a second and go out and come back, and I was like, "There's pizza." And then later, I'm gonna call him out. Flurry came in smelling like pizza, and I looked at him like, "I smell pizza. Did you really just go out there and eat pizza?" Oh. But he's got the beatus, so he doesn't need his blood sugar dropping.
Okay, LeVette, I could hear the passion in your voice yesterday. I should say last night, when you said, "This is my neighborhood. I live here." You live within a few blocks of that old Circle K, and
yes.
And now it's going to be a liquor store. What happened? You were against this.
Yeah, and the thing is, I've got some really mixed up feelings about it, because I also I've watched cases like this ever since I was on the MPC, and there's just a disparity in the way these cases get ruled. Now, I think that my colleagues Bradford and Bowman and Fleury have been consistent in the way they vote on these things, because the president has already said that we want to be pro-business and we want to be consistent in how we apply things. And also, we have been sued by liquor stores about where they can be placed based on the way that our policies are written about use by right. And what that means is, in the biggest commercial district before you get to industrial, liquor stores are allowed by right. But in the next two down, so that's C4, you have commercial 3, commercial 2. And those are the ones that get closer to neighborhoods. And C1 is the one that's usually directly next to a neighborhood. Well, that district right there where that gas station is on Kings Highway is a C2. So you are allowed to apply for a special use permit, but then it's up to the MPC, and then if there's an appeal, it goes to the council to decide whether or not you can have that.
Now,
and that's the problem. It allows inconsistency.
You had just mentioned, you listed a few names of the council people who traditionally are against liquor stores in neighborhoods. I think you among them, and yet it was a 6-1 vote in favor, based primarily on your compromise idea of a 9 p.m. close. Tell us how that came about.
Well, the original closing time on the MPC's restrictions was midnight. And I know that corridor, most things close around 10 o'clock, and my original stipulation would have been for 8 o'clock, and then they countered with 9. Some of my other colleagues countered with 9, and I was like, fine, we'll try 9 o'clock. The owner would have preferred 11 o'clock, which is when Thrifty Liquor on Uri Drive closes. The other thing is that there were already stipulations from the Metropolitan Planning Commission about the aesthetics, about losing one of the driveways, about the landscaping. And I talked to the MPC a couple of weeks ago, and they put together some more external things. And that was kind of the compromise as well. If this can look not just clean, but not like a nondescript cornered liquor store, it might actually, I don't know, just blend in with the character of the neighborhood more. Mm-hmm. And this was just having this feeling that this was not going to pass, that there weren't the votes to deny it. you know?
Right. Let me ask you this. Has Mr. Woods agreed to that 9 p.m. without filing a suit? Because he could challenge you and say, hey, you got Thrifty Liquor, a couple miles away that can stay open way later than 9 p.m. I want the same rights as that business.
As per usual, I can't speak for anyone. In the meeting, he seemed to relent, but I don't think this is over. I don't think that the Gladstone neighbors or our Mr. Woods are done.
So you anticipate a legal challenge?
I do. I think that people are going to push back. And the thing is, not every group of neighbors has the means to do what these neighbors are doing, or our city might look a little different right now.
Mm-hmm. Anticipating a 6-1 vote, were you anticipating that?
Good grief, no, I wasn't. I didn't know if it would pass at all. I was completely surprised by that.
Pardon me, if you didn't think it was going to pass, if you didn't see it as a valid compromise idea, why did you put it forward?
It's not that I didn't see it as a valid compromise idea.
You just didn't think it would pass.
If you roll back the tape, you'll hear Councilman Bradford say that he thought that those hours were a little harsh and that he felt like the new stipulations weren't vetted by the MPC, but I countered that they actually were drafted by the MPC. But you'll also hear Councilman Bowman say, I don't think that we should be coming at the last minute with something that hasn't gone through the proprietor before this minute. But you might hear me on the microphone kind of tell him, like, actually, I did. Like, I have talked to Mr. Woods about this, anticipating that it might not be denied completely. So it's not that I didn't think it was valid, but with an appeal, Robert, Aaron, you go until you get something that is satisfactory. Like, that might have failed. If my motion failed, then we would have had to try something else, because that was the second motion. We could have been there longer.
Was the sense of the council, last one before we let you go, and thank you as always, was the sense of the council yesterday that Mr. Wood, pretty nice guy, and we're going to do what we can to help him out here? Was that was he impressive to you and the other members?
He already has a lot of friends on the council. I felt like he was definitely a little wound up because of hearing all of the commentary from the neighbors, most of them being against. But I'll tell you this. That is probably the most expensive piece of leftover Circle K property in the city. And the market research indicates that it's a perfect place for a liquor store. That is not a compliment to the neighborhood. And it also says that he's done the market research and knows exactly where he can make his money. I know you gotta, like, let me go or whatever, and maybe that's, like, the last thing I need to say about it, but the issue is that we have an inconsistent piece of policy, and my move now is to see if we can remedy that by making liquor stores a use by right in C4 like they are, but only allowing for the special use in C3 and removing the opportunity in C1 and C2 so that no neighborhood has to go through this. No neighborhood will have to even think about it being a threat.